commercial vision, made like a kind of a discotheque in the country, made out of wood, like we call a rancho over there,
y le puso el suelo de cemento.
and made the floor out of cement instead of, it was like a dirt floor.
Entonces ya la gente no bailaba descalzo como en la posición anterior, sino que iba con zapatos a bailar.
So people will dance now with shoes instead of bare feet.
A ese negocio le pusieron el perico ripiao,
That place was called El Perico Ripiao.
pero tiempo después el negocio se quemó y a los músicos que tocaban ahí le decían que eran músicos del perico ripiao hasta la historia de ahora, hasta hoy.
So the place got burned because of a fight or something that happened there. And the musicians that used to play there, they were called musicians from El Perico Ripiao. So that style of merengue that they used to play is now called Perico Ripiao. And it sounds like this, right?
Thanks. About the merengue is known as the rhythm itself and as a dance. Merengue as a dance, which is basically used to be before as a hall dance, as what do you call it, the waltz for the Europeans. Used to be hands lengths apart and very distant. Now el merengue is danced together. Entonces, it comes from the French minuet, okay? We're talking about late 700s, early 1800s. And it basically started as mimicking the master's dance. Masters, quote unquote. Because we had our own style of dancing, which was basically, I say we because we're descendants of the Africans. As the tribal dance, but very, very complex. So it started joking around, mimicking itself, the master's dance. But eventually, it kind of became our own, because the masters had to leave, and the whole revolution and everything else just went. So we kept the dance. The original merengue was not danced by individual couples. Okay, it was a circle dance. Each man and woman faced each other and holding hands at arm's length, as I said. Recently, it's become a little more, what do you call it, provocative, because of the whole popular music styles, like reggaeton and salsa and so on. But we keep it simple, safe, mellow. Not to get risque, to say that word. The original merengue is actually pretty similar to what you may know as the cakewalk. Okay. Traditional form of merengue is played by accordion, saxophone, box bass. Box bass is a box with an open front hole and 3 metal bars. Each one has a different note. We call that the box bass because we didn't have like a straight up standing bass. And the electric. Exactly, it's called marimba. But we have a acoustic bass, and the electric bass barely got to us in what, the 1950s? The electric bass got 1960s. Yes, we're pretty broke. But we survived. Actually, the merengue itself eventually got an evolution, and its transcendence beyond the walls of the Dominican Republic in the 1930s, during the how do you call it, the presidential state of Rafael Leonidas Trujillo until 1961. And he took the merengue, which again was the music from the farms, from the outskirts of the cities, and put it into the halls, into the halls of the rich and the masters. That was not very liked by the rich people, because they were all saying, why should we hear this kind of music? We listen to other styles. They wanted to imitate the Europeans. But eventually, the president kind of acknowledged that this is the kind of music that he liked. And what you consider big bands is what we used to have for the merengue music. We're talking about 28, 35, 40 musicians on stage playing simultaneously. And probably a section of what? ¿Cuánto era saxofón durante la orquesta? ¿Cuatro saxofones?
No, era un big band, 5 saxofones.
5 saxophones, 4 trumpets, trombones, 3 or 4, percussionists, probably about 5. Piano players, we didn't have electric pianos until like the 50s, the 60s. We used to like, you remember the pianos you go to the practice rooms, and those the pianos that are in the wooden boxes, those you had to put those in a car and start driving through all the gigs. And go like, okay, where's the piano? Yeah, no mic. Oh. So literally, it was a lot of work. But I mean, we're talking about a huge band, and it sounded amazing.
Cuando se le adaptó el bajo acústico a las orquestas bailables de la República Dominicana,
So when they started using the upright bass,
los bajistas bebían mucho.
the bass players used to drink a lot of rum.
Entonces,
That's
detrás,
that's how you get the feel, right?
detrás del bajo lo abrieron y le pusieron una pequeña puerta.
They used to open the back of they used to open a hole in the back of the instrument. And they would put their bottle of rum in there.
Y ahí guardaban la bebida que le daban en los bailes.
And then they will like steal
Sacaban el bajo.
the drinks from the
Saca-
dances and put it in there.
Sí, sacaban el bajo como si fuera un ataúd para un entierro.
So they used to take the bass out like if it was like
A tombstone,
tombstone.
a coffin, yes.
It's very important to say also that the whole orchestra scene was a big evolution, because it wasn't like, okay, this is played by 4 musicians in the country and then a big band has to play it. It was something that started growing, and instruments were added bit by bit. At the end, that big band that used to play the dances of the rich people was forced to play merengue, and actually the first merengue recorded was Compadre Pedro Juan, right? That
Yeah, Compadre Pedro Juan was actually the first recorded merengue, and it traveled the world, and it put us on the map, to say the least, and extremely old merengue. And I mean, anybody who plays Latin music knows Compadre Pedro Juan, and it's till this day. I mean, we've got news that it's still played in Japan and China and the Asia itself. So for us, it's an amazing surprise.
So this is our take. That was one of the songs chosen to be played on the moon of that recording that they put there. It's like after our national anthem.
Our little anthem.
Most important song. So this is our take on that.
Muy bien.
Un detalle muy importante que no sé si se te escapó, y es que, si quieres ir traduciendo. O no sé si
It's a very important detail that Ramon wants to point out.
sí. Que normalmente esa parte del merengue, la primera parte, que es el paseo, eso es una manera de poder adecuar el merengue a los grandes salones.
Okay, the first part, the slow part that you saw, that sounds like a march, is called el paseo, and that was a way to adapt it to the dances that were held in the hall, and that was done so people could ask the ladies to dance and get to the middle of the stage.
Además de que al principio el merengue de por sí no era algo rechazado por la alta sociedad.
And that was one of
La
the ways
iglesia.
that they used to insert merengue, because it was something that the high society didn't want in their clubs. Even the church on their sermons will say that was devil's music.
Entonces, el gobierno de turno introdujo el merengue en los grandes salones, y pues de ahí nace el paseo del merengue, entre otras cosas.
So the president at that time, which was the dictator Rafael Leonidas Trujillo, which loved merengue, made the orchestras of that time that plays at the big salons and high society clubs play merengue, and that first part was played so he could get to the middle of the stage. Until that point, the band couldn't start the second part. So actually, you have a story on that. Tú tienes una historia del paseo, ¿verdad?
Sí, hay algo, perdón, que yo quería para concluir, que se estilaba que llegaba el gobierno de turno en ese momento, y pues él era que normalmente, mientras daban el paseo, pues cuando el paseo se prolongaba hasta que él entraba. Cuando él entraba, ahí terminaba el paseo.
Okay.
Okay.
So when the president got to the dance, they will start playing the first part, called El Paseo, and they wouldn't start the second part till that person came to the middle of the stage and gave the cue. So he was actually kind of a music director.
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Pero una vez el presidente hizo su entrada, y al entrar se entretuvo saludando a alguien y se quedó ahí conversando, y pues a él se le olvidó.
So one time he went to a dance, and at the door he started saluting people, and the band started playing El Paseo, and half an hour later he was still saluting people, and they were playing the same two chords.
Entonces después, cuando él se acordó, wow, comiencen ahora.
So then he realized that they were playing that part, and then he went, oh, sorry, okay, you can start now.
Esa fue la época en que comenzó vamos a decir, a recibir influencias de otra parte del mundo. Por ejemplo, ya los mismos bajistas comenzaban ya a usar las líneas de swing que ya se habían hecho para la parte de los paseos, y tumbaos como lo influenciado por Cachao López, sobre todo, de Cuba, para ambas sesiones. Primero el paseo siempre con un walking, y ya la parte del mambo con estilo como Cachao.
So it's safe to, he says that he wants to add that at that time that we started using the upright bass, they were starting to get influenced by the jazz basses of that time, using the walking bass style for the paseo part, and then for the other part of the song, they will use a kind of tumbao like they use in Cuban music, a very heavy influence by Cachao.
Hay que recordar que la conga no fue parte nunca del merengue hasta el año 1949, cuando un director de orquesta cubano llamado Julio Gutiérrez la introdujo.
The congos were not actually originally part of the merengue, the bands themselves. Julio Gutierrez, the director, was the one that first put congos and introduced them into the merengue itself in 1949.
Lo que se dijo ahorita que la iglesia rechazaba el merengue. ¿Sabe por qué lo rechazaba? Porque era una música de borrachones y que inducía al sexo inmediatamente que usted bailaba merengue.
The church basically rejected this style of music because it was the music of alcoholics. I mean, we're talking about literally, you can imagine 45 people, 50 people on stage, and they're all drunk. So I think you can understand the implications of what will happen after that. Everybody getting crazy, and so on in the motel. So I'm not saying everything else that he's saying, so you kind of get the idea. We're going to play a little example right now. It's called Soñar, which means dreams.